Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is a handover of the Swift Lifestyle 674. So the first point we get to on the driver's side of the motorhome is your mains connection point. So you'd connect the vehicle to mains if you were on a site and you've paid for your electric as part of your fees, or if you're at home and you were charging the vehicle prior to going away with the motorhome. So what you want to do is you want to get your hookup lead, lift the collar, hook the van up first and then hook the power source up last. So whether that be the site or the house, just so that you're not walking around with a live lead in your hand, and do it in opposites. So do it in reverse order when unconnecting so that you're never walking around with a live lead. Here you have your freshwater filling point. So you get one habitation key which does all the locks on the outside of the motorhome. So this is a lockable cap, but it's open at the moment, so carry yourself a hose pipe with the motorhome with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap that the site provides. Connect your connection onto there, flat end into the van, wait until it overflows, which means it's a full tank, or you can look on board your control panel and see how much water is on board your fresh and wastewater tanks at any one time. But this is your fresh, clear water. If you're still struggling, you can buy a pump. If you're going wild camping and you can't get a hose to the vehicle, you can put your pump in there. That gives it 12 volt power. The other end in here, and drop the water into the drum, and that will allow the water to be sucked up and put into the freshwater tank where you can't bring a hose pipe to the vehicle and you bring your own water. Next, we've got your cassette toilet. So this is your chemical toilet. So once the cassette indicates it's full, you'll be able to come out, lift the orange handle and slide the cassette out of the van. You can then carry it, or you can lift the handle and you can drag it to the waste disposal points, which is normally on your site beside the toilet and shower block. Once you get there, to empty the cassette, you take the grey cap off, pop the grey cap to one side, start to pour the cassette, so the contents out the cassette, along with pushing the orange button. This allows a bit of air in and stops it glugging. You can tip the contents of the cassette out. Once you've done that, you can put some water in, because there's normally a tap beside the disposal point. A little bit of water in, rinse, tip out again before going in with a cap full of chemical. And this is where the cap comes back in. So this is a 120mm measuring stick. You can measure your chemical, pop it in there. That can either be blue or green, depending on what the site prefers you to use. Normally you can use blue, but some sites now prefer you to use the green because it's more environmentally friendly for their septic tanks. Underneath the vehicle you do have wastewater and fresh water. So these are drains. Wastewater is obviously your dirty water that you've collected from your sink, shower and hand basin. Fresh water is obviously the water you've put in. You want to make sure your waste's always drained off before you leave a site, because you'll not want to drive around with the added weight of waste water, because it's not necessary. You're just going to use more fuel and impact your payload. And then your fresh water, you'll want to get rid of fresh water if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, or you're not using the van for a couple of weeks. Or in the winter, you want to make sure both of them are drained off and fully empty of water. And to drain this type of system off, it's got an electronic dump on, so it's through the main control panel, which I'll show you inside the motorhome. So there's no taps on them, it's electronically controlled, and I'll show you how to open them inside the van. Cold water external shower. So in the van there'll be a fitting which connects onto here. On the under end of the hose is a trigger gun, so you can hose the dog off, the kids, the bikes, the boots. But that is cold water. You do need to make sure the pump's on to get a pressurized flow of water to this outlet. 2 fridge vents. Your boiler flue, which operates on both gas and electric, but the flue's more for gas to allow the fumes to escape the motorhome. On the back you've got a high level brake light, a bullet style reversing camera and a Thule 4 bike rack. So to pull this down, you just grab a hold of it and pull it towards you. put your bikes on opposite ways with every other bike, just so that you can get your handlebars in. These move depending on how large the bike frame is. So if it's kids' bikes, you can pull it in. If it's adult bikes, you can pull it out. Chuck the wheel on here and tie this strap through the spokes of the bike wheels to pull down. So just so it's secure on the bike rail. And then you've got your arms, so first, second, third, and there's another one in the van to make the fourth. So this last person's obviously only ever been using 3 bikes on here. These hold the crossbars, so they hold the top of the crossbar of the bike to keep it stable at the top. Then put some sort of bike lock around the bike frames and bike rack, just so if you leave the van unattended, your bikes are safe. Parking sensors, you've got 4 on the bottom, along with a tow bar with 7-pin electrics. On and winding handle, shower, hose, carpets all in there. We'll show you on and on collection, it's very easy to wind out. LPG, so liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker. So this is, in here you do have 2 bottles. So connected to this one at present, from here, this pipe is known as the pigtail. The pigtail is left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. Then you get your gas spanner and you just want to nip it up. So you put it on the top and you nip it up, turn the cylinder on, a couple of turns of the top of the cylinder, and then you want to press this black button, which is a crash valve. Without pressing this black button, no gas is going to leave the bottle into the vehicle. So you need to press that for 5 to 10 seconds. Make sure to then go and try your gas. If you're still not getting gas, you can press this green button, which is another crash valve, for 5 to 10 seconds. If you wanted to fit another pigtail, you can at this side, and then you can connect both bottles, and then you can just change it over here. This is a manual changeover valve, so the nib is pointing to this bottle, meaning it's getting the gas from this cylinder. If there was another pigtail on, you can turn it and get the gas from that cylinder. Just easier if you've run out of gas instead of changing the pigtail over, but it's entirely up to you. It doesn't make any difference taking the pigtail off one bottle and putting it onto your reserve, or connecting both and changing the crash valve, the manual changeover valve, should I say, over. Make sure your gas bottles are turned off before you travel, so it's safer for you and other road users. External 230 volt socket, so that'll work when hooked up. An external gas point, so if you were wanting to carry a Cadillac with you or external barbecue, you can get a quick release connector which connects in here, so it will connect in there. Some gas hosing and some Jubilee clips to connect it all together, and it'll use the bottles in the gas locker instead of carrying another bottle. On and light. Diesel opens with the main ignition key to fill with diesel fuel, so it's a lockable cap. Tyre pressures can be found here, so 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi front and back. Underneath here you do have a jack, a brace and a tone eye underneath the seat. Underneath the floor you have your main engine battery, so the engine battery isn't underneath the bonnet, it's underneath the floor. So if you ever want to change that or you want to put a charger on, go direct to the battery. However, your bonnet release is on the side of the passenger dashboard. And here you have all your fluids, so you've got your screen wash, which is the main one you're going to need. Lift these 3 tabs on the scuttle panel, lift this off, you can still fill your power steering fluid and your coolant. Followed by your brake fluid, your oil filler and dipstick for checking your oil levels. And then if you ever want to give or receive a jump start, you'd earth off here, and then this box here, you want to put your key or a screwdriver in here and lift this up, and there's a positive terminal underneath here for giving or receiving a jump start off this vehicle or another. So to operate your digital control panel, you turn on and off the panel by touching the Swift logo here. And then to get into the panel, you've got all these options. So, starting off from left to right, so if you wanted to use water, you've got to ensure that the pump's on. So to turn the pump on, you just press it. You get the blue surround round the logo, and that's the pump on. And that'll operate your taps, toilet and shower. You need to make sure that you've got water on board, because if you turn the pump on with no water on board, you're going to burn the pump out. Next, you've got your awning light, which is a light on the outside of the vehicle. So if you're sitting underneath the awning, or you're going out for a walk and you're coming back when it's dark, you might want to put your awning light on and you can spot your van. Lights, so you can turn them on and off by pressing the centres, and then you can press and hold and you can dim them down here. So the lights are dimmable, but to just have them on, you just press 100% or off. Go back to the house, it'll take you back to the control panel menu. Power is where you'll find the levels of your leisure battery and your vehicle battery. So you can see there that 14.1 volts is what your leisure battery is currently being read at, but it is hooked up. As you can tell, we're on hook up here by the little hook up lead symbol. Take the hookup out to get a true reading of your batteries, and it tells you underneath the 6.1 amps currently coming off the battery. The solar panel does go to sleep when the vehicle is hooked up, and you do have your vehicle battery reading there as well. Selected battery here always wants to be the leisure battery. You can turn it to the vehicle battery and it'll start to charge the vehicle battery. You might want to charge it over the winter like this, just so that you don't get a flat battery. Swap it for a few days on the vehicle, a few days on the leisure, just to monitor both batteries. But when using the motorhome, you must have it on the leisure, because otherwise you are going to flatten the engine battery and you go to start the engine and it won't start. So that's what the leisure battery is designed for using all the motorhome side. Water, fresh water, 75% full and 0 waste. Should you be going away and it's really cold and it's going to freeze overnight, more so in the winter, you can turn your tank heaters on, which is this one here, and that'll stop the water from freezing in the tanks below. When the water levels get too low or the waste gets full, you can turn on level alerts, and that'll just start beeping to let you know that it's either empty the fresh or the waste's full and it's time to do something about it. Frost alerts will tell you when it's going to get frosty. So then you would either empty the water, or if you're using it, you turn the tank heaters on. And then to empty the water, you can press empty fresh or empty waste. I'm not going to empty the fresh because we've got water on, but I'll show you how to do it with the waste. So you press empty waste, confirm it. You'll get this yellow circle that's flashing, which is telling you the valve's open and it's empty, and it'll do the same for the fresh. To stop it, stop draining waste, confirm, and that is that. Heating, you can do the heating through here if you want, but it's all through the Truma CP digital control panel, which I'm going to insert in the next clip on how to work that, which is just beside it. You can adjust your air temperature there. Whether you've got the water on hot or off or eco. So eco is 40 degrees, hot 60 degrees, and obviously off when you've got no water on board. Energy source for the heating, so you've selected the room temperature. One electricity sign is 750 watts of electric. 2 electricity signs is 1500 watts of mains electric. Gas symbol on its own is gas from your bottle when you're wild camping, as you wouldn't be hooked up. And then you've got gas plus 1 electricity sign, which is 750 watts, which is known as mix 1. Or you've got mix 2, which is 2 electricity signs, 1500 watts of electric and gas together. But I'll go through this in a moment, so I'll insert a clip of this next on how to operate. Settings, you can change your date and your time and things on there. And then to turn it off, like I said, press the Swift Bird logo, and that'll turn the 12 volt system completely off by turning the panel off. So to operate your digital Truma CP control panel, To turn the system on and off, you'd press and hold to turn it off, press it once to turn it on and it'll come on, and then to get into the menu you just press it once. You'll notice you've got a thermometer in a van flashing at the top corner. If you press enter, this is how hot you want your vehicle. So you've got all the way off in the summer when you don't want the heating, or you've got all the way to 30 degrees in the winter when it's very cold. So once you're happy, so if we say 27 degrees there, that's how hot I want the inside of the motorhome to be, I'd press enter and that'll save that at 27 degrees. Now you've got a thermometer in some water. This is how hot you want your water. So if you don't have any water on board, you'd have it on off. 40 degrees for showering, 60 degrees for doing your dishes, but it's entirely up to yourself how hot you want your water. Or you've got boost, which will turn off your heating and prioritize your water first. But for this we'll just say 60 degrees because we want the heating to run along with the water. Next you've got what source you're heating the water and the vehicle off. So you've got gas, so make sure your gas bottle's on and it's turned on. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 1850 watts of electric plus gas. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter. If you're away and it was really cold, use a mix 2, will boost the vehicle up to temperature because you're using both sources together. Then you can turn it over to electric. So you've got electric 750 watts EL1 and you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. Don't waste your gas if you're on a site unless you're away and it's really cold and you're using mix 2 for the first 10-15 minutes. Then allow electric to continue to heat the motorhome and maintain the temperature. Because if you're on a site, you've paid your site fees after all, you'll not want to waste your gas. Then you've got your fan in the top right hand corner, so eco or high or boost. This is just a 12 volt assisted fan. So eco will use less 12 volt. High obviously uses more fan speed, so it's going to use a little bit more 12 volt. And boost uses full power on the fan, which is going to use the most out of the 12 volt battery. Sleep with it on eco because it's a lot quieter than sleeping with it on anything else. If you're going to sleep with the heating on in the winter, you've got a timer so you can time the heating to come on and off just the once though. Clock in the middle and then spanner. You can go all the way down to reset, and to reset the control panel, if you ever get a warning triangle in the middle, reset, preset, click again and it will restart your control panel. And then to turn off, press and hold and it'll say off and it'll completely turn itself off. So in the kitchen you do have 3 gas burners. So making sure your gas bottle's on and you've got your control panel on, you'll be able to use the ignition on the front to light the gas. And underneath you've got a grill. And you've got your oven at the bottom there as well. You may want to take your grill pan and oven shelves out when travelling, and always make sure the flat side of the shelf is to the outside and the side with the retainer on is at the back, so it just doesn't allow you to cover the burner with a tray. Model number, if you ever need any parts, is on this sticker here for your oven. Cutlery drawer, should I say storage drawer. Some storage underneath here as well for pots and pans and access to pipes. In here you do have a draining board as well as a chopping board for your sink cover. That lies in the top there. Cutlery tray, storage, and you do have gas isolation valves there. So any problems with gas, we always recommend that the bottle is turned off, so you're capping the main source off for your own safety. However, if you wanted to, and if you knew which appliance was causing the issue, you can cap it off with the gas taps, but these are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced once a year. A technician will test each gas appliance individually by isolating each and every one of them. Above you do have some storage for cups, plates, 150 watt solar panel charger there, so that's your regulator. So that's charging your leisure battery when the vehicle is not hooked up. When it is hooked up, unfortunately, it means 230 volt does take priority. And it's flashing there, which means that it's putting a charge into the leisure battery as we speak. Microwave, 800 watt mains microwave, so you've got to be hooked up for this appliance to work. Otherwise, if you are just wild camping off 12 volt, you will not have the use of your microwave. You'll just have use of gas. This is just showing that your water system's working. Your water pump's pressurising the water, and you do have hot water there coming through. So your hot water system is working as it should as well. So at the back of this model, you have a large U-shaped lounge. So this U-shaped lounge just creates a double bed as well, a very large double bed. So in the centre here, if you take your turnbuckle off and pull the lats out, you'll pull them so far until you get the two rubber grommets on either side. And what you want to do is you want to lift it up and slide it out and pop it back in the other side. And that just means that this now can't move, so when you're sleeping, there's no chance of the bed falling in. Then you would put your backrests on both sides into the void in the middle. Pull the base cushion forward a little bit, and there you've made your double bed. But what we recommend is you can either put your base cushions further forward, knees at the back or at the front. But if you turn everything upside down, you get a flatter surface to sleep on, because everything's curved to taper the design of the sofas. So if you turn them upside down, you'll get the flat surface to sleep on. And then if you want an extra space, if you just remove the cushions at the back, you'll get a lot more space so that you can have a large double bed. So lifting the cushion off in the back lounge just behind your fridge there, you do have your EC600 power supply unit. So black button here is a system shutdown button. This will turn off all 12 volt inside the vehicle, including the control panels. So if you were storing the vehicle and you didn't want a 12 volt power drain, to avoid this from happening, you can turn the system shutdown button off. Underneath you've got all your 12 volt fuses. They're all listed at the back, what fuse does what, so do carry an assortment pack of fuses with you just in case a fuse does blow. You can pick it out and replenish the fuse, but it will come up with a red light underneath the fuse that has blown. In this side you do have your RCD, so your main trip tester. So if you're on power and you trip the vehicle out, try here before you try your main sight. Or if you think you're not receiving power, the best way to check is pressing this yellow button here, which is your main test switch. And you've also got your MCBs there for your various appliances. Everything can be found at the back, so your rating of your fuses, what fuse does what, your ratings of your 230 volt spurs, all on there. So when winterising the boiler, what you've got to do is you've got to allow the 10 litres of water that this boiler is storing out in the winter to avoid it from freezing with the colder temperatures when parked up. So it's known as frost protection, and you don't want frost damage where the frost damages the vehicle because you've left water in. So what you want to do is, there's a little yellow toggle just down here. You want to stand that up like that, and you want to allow all the 10 litres of water that's in this boiler to drain directly out underneath the van. And I can hear it draining out now. It's emptying the boiler onto the floor beneath the vehicle. Leave it stood up in this position when not using, and when you're ready to reuse the van again, you want to flick it down. This will shut the valve, so that means when you fill the vehicle with water and you've shut all your taps and everything, because when you come to reuse it, you'll want to shut out all the valves in the van, taps, fresh and waste, everything shut, fill with water, pump on, cold side the tap first, you'll get a pressurised flow of water. Hot, it'll cough and splutter because it's feeding from the fresh water tank into here. Once it gets into here, it then dispenses it through the taps, but you'll get a lot of air first because it's trying to fill the empty space, which is just accumulated air. So it could take 3 or 4 minutes on one tap. Once you do one tap, it's very easy on the second and third tap. But when winterizing, so when you're parking it up for the winter and not using it, lift this valve up, freshen the waste open from outside, all the taps within the vehicle open, remove the shower head from the shower hose and lie that down into the shower tray just to stop water from lying in there and potentially freezing. And this just eliminates any water that could sit in any pipes and any lines, because every tap's open and every valve's open to stop the water from sitting and causing any damage. So to operate this manual drop down bed, what you've got to do is you've got to take the safety straps off. So there's one here, and you just want to pull that off, and there's one in this corner as well. So the fabric strap, pull it off, the little retainer there, and then you can push the button in and pull it down. If this button ever goes stiff and you can't push it in, what you need to do is just put your hands in the middle of the bed and push it up. It's because it's not clicked in fully, and once you push it up, it'll mean that you can press the button far easier in and slide it down. So you slide the bed down, the ladder clips on here, so the ladder would clip on. You can store the ladder under the bed should you wish, but make sure in the winter time, what you'll want to do is you'll want to pull the bed down slightly from the ceiling. Don't leave it up when you're storing it, because if the mattress gets ever so slightly damp, it will make an imprint on your textured ceiling. Yes, this is plastic lined, but you don't want to mark your ceiling boards. So just pull it down to allow the air to circulate. Take your duvets off and your pillows off when in the winter. Make sure your pillows are off when you are putting it back up. You can leave a duvet on, but obviously pillows are a bit too thick, so they'll have to come off when putting the bed back up into position. So in your washroom, which is a combined washroom on this one, you do have your toilet, so you need to make sure that your toilet, to work the flush, the pump's on. So press the pump on the panel, press the blue button on the back here. You'll get a flow of water. You want to put a small amount of flow of water into the toilet first. This helps lubricate the seal between the blade and the cassette. And then before you think about using it, on the front of the toilet, on the pedestal, there is a grey lever. So you want to open the lever, use the toilet, flush the toilet after use, and then close the lever off. 3 green lights underneath the diagram of the cassette will indicate that when it is full and it's time to empty it, rinse it and replenish it with chemical. So in the washroom area, we've spoke about the toilet. Make sure when you winterize that you unscrew the shower head from the shower hose here, just so any water doesn't collate in this loop on the hose. Lie this hose down in the shower tray. Make sure that all the plastic finish, including the walls, the sink, the cabinet, the toilet and the shower tray itself, you don't use any harsh chemicals on this, such as a bleach. Use Fairy Up liquid, microfiber towels, no harsh chemicals, even a Dettol spray, but no bleach, because you will damage the finish on the plastic. It's got a brilliant white finish, and when you use bleach, what happens is it strips the top off and it leaves a cream orangey stain, and then you'd have to get it all sprayed, which is known as a speed coat, to bring it back up to this finish. So just that's a little top tip. Just watch what you are cleaning your washroom out with. Nothing harsh, because it will damage the finish. So to operate this Dometic styled fridge, so to turn the fridge on and off, you press here, So it's a flush panel, so just rest your finger upon it and you'll be able to turn it off like so and turn it back on. This fridge is an automatic fridge, so it has an automatic function. It depends whether you want to use it or not, but I would personally just leave it on automatic. So automatic, what that does is it finds the best source available to the motorhome at any one time, and it will always prioritize mains 230 volt. So if you're hooked up, whether you're pre-chilling at home or you're on a site, it will always prioritize mains 230 volt. If I was to unhook the vehicle and I had a gas bottle on like I do now, because we've got your vehicle on test, it would switch over to gas and self-ignite. Or if I was to start the engine, it would switch over to battery, which is a 12 volt feed from the alternator of the engine, not the leisure battery. So it's only designed to keep the temperature that it's at when travelling. Won't get it any warmer, won't get it any cooler, but it'll maintain the temperature, so that is why you have to pre-chill beforehand, or if you've been to one site, you've obviously had the fridge on and it's full of shopping. A couple of days beforehand, I always like to hook the motorhome up, charge the leisure battery before I go off, put my shopping in the night before. Fridge has already been cold because it's been on for that couple of days, allow it to chill overnight, and then when you travel, it'll keep at a steady temperature until you arrive back on your site and either hook up and it'll automatically switch back to mains, or it'll select gas. But please note it waits 20 minutes before lighting on gas. This is a safety reason, in case you forgot to turn your gas bottle off. It's a feature on the fridge which is programmed to wait 20 minutes in case you're filling with diesel in a petrol forecourt. You don't want that sparking where there's naked fumes of petrol. This is just beeping because the door's open, letting you know that your door's not shut, and it isn't shut because I'm talking about the control panel at the moment. If you wanted to manually change the source, you just press here and you can manually change it from 12 volt off the engine to gas, to mains, and back to auto. This is your temperature, so 5 when pre-chilling with nothing in. You might just want to turn it down once you put your shopping in, because sometimes it can be too strong. And if you ever got a fault code and you want to clear it, all you need to do is press the on button until you hear it beep once, and that'll clear it if the fault is intermittent. But obviously this fault's still there because the door's open. Making sure when you've turned it off, you pull this little clip off, and that just helps keep the door open so it ventilates and doesn't trap the air in and cause any smells and mold to form inside the fridge. But when using, you want that pushed back and you want the door fully shut in place.